Good evening, you're watching Trending Tonight with me, Sanket Upadhyay. Now it's that time of the year where we talk about pollution, we talk about pollution solutions, but we've been doing that for over a decade now. It's become a trend, hasn't it? That every year around this time, the moment the AQI levels dip, we immediately start looking for solutions. Institutions start looking for solutions. And to this date, on bad air days, we are still struggling to find pollution solutions. This matter reached the Supreme Court. What happened there, we'll be explaining with the help of easy to understand graphics and also speak to our guests on who actually takes the accountability. Imagine to this date, even in the Supreme Court, this is the discussion going on. Who's responsible? That discussion up ahead. Also on the show, the Samajwadi Mahagathbandhan of Uttar Pradesh. The Samajwadi Party as of this moment is on some sort of a mission to tie up with as many smaller players or small parties because they've already burnt their hands with the Congress and with the Bahujan Samaj Party in 2017 and 2019. This time, they're trying their Mahagathbandhan with smaller parties, RLD, even Aam Aadmi Party perhaps. There was a big meeting that took place, but the big question is, will smaller alliances work for Akhilesh? He's not had a very stellar record with alliances. Will smaller alliances work? We'll have Mr. Sanjay Singh joining us in just a short moment. But first, let's come back to the first issue of discussion. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, is with us. Pallavi Pant, Air Quality Scientist. Santosh Harish, Fellow at the Center for Policy Research. And Karthik Ganeshan, Fellow and Director, Research Coordination, Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Thank you very much. Vikas Singh, I want to begin with you. What is your reading? I mean, this matter reached the Supreme Court. There have been tough observations. Mr. Singh, the fight to fix accountability has been fairly long, and one would argue that imagine we are still stuck at this level. How and when will we fight?
Well, Sanket, this issue started last year when this petition was filed by this student called Dubey, Aditya Dubey. And this petition was actually, it was started because of the farm fires which spoils the atmospheric pollution in Delhi substantially in these months of October and November. Now, the strategy of the government has been last year also and this year also that they just keep taking dates, hoping that the wind will blow away the pollution. And that's what they did successfully. Last year, we had our Justice Madan Lokur being appointed as a commission to look into this aspect of farm fires, etc. They immediately brought in an ordinance to ensure that he doesn't start functioning. Then this ordinance lapsed. Then they had this commission. And this commission also, if you will recall, Dr. Singhvi said that again adjourn this to October of next year. Now, October of next year will never solve the problem because then you are into the problem and you are still grappling at solutions. There are, as far as thermal generation is concerned or industrial pollution is concerned, the present AQI norms that are already stipulated by the Central Pollution Control Board are sufficient if they are properly implemented to ensure that there is no pollution in Delhi. They are already very, very exacting.
Correct.
I mean, they are very difficult to meet. So, or even dust pollution from sites. So, there are even CPCB norms with regard to dust pollution on sites. But these are not being implemented. That's a problem. Now, farm fire is a very typical problem because harvesting, if it's manual harvesting, and Sanket, I must tell you, I'm a farmer myself and I've done farming in Bihar in my village. And I know what exactly is paddy cutting, etc. when it's ripe. If it's a manual harvesting, then you cut the paddy from the bottom of the ground level. So then you do what we call in Bihar called downy. So you take out the paddy out of it, and the rest is used for thatching huts, etc.
Correct.
When you use a harvester, which is being done in Punjab, because they can't afford the manual harvesting, a harvester just picks up only the top of the paddy and leaves the whole stubble behind.
Stubble, which then is burnt.
So the stubble can't be, in a normal manual harvesting, the stubble, if it is just, if you put the plow, the stubble just gets dissolved with the field and it becomes manure to the field
Interesting.
and it can be used even in the next
Interesting.
crop. But in this stubble,
So
this has to be actually
mechanization
taken out. So
has-
the farmer,
Mechanization has
needs to be
created the problem,
compensated.
but I agree with you, Vikas Singh, but Pallavi Pant, the point is, and it's a very important point that Vikas Singh raised just now, somehow the response of governments is that let these bad air days pass and then we can eventually, all heave a sigh of relief. Look at the response of the centre in the court. They said AQI was 403 on the 16th of November, now it is 290. Situation has improved. As if we are supposed to be very happy about this fact that we are not in very poor category, we are in poor category.
Are you
No, this
are
was
you
for
asking
Pallavi
me to
Pant.
respond?
Okay. So, yeah, I think, this is something we've been discussing now every October and November, and we, somehow collectively forget that there is this issue year round, and that anything we're going to do today will really not solve the problem today or even next year. And if we, take similar examples, these things have happened in other countries. Delhi is not the first city facing it. Beijing has seen heavy air pollution episodes in, recent years. And what they did over time is put in place very, long-term specific policy measures that address the major air pollution sources. So they're not thinking about one source alone, but looking at the whole mix of sources in regions where pollution levels are high. This is what, the UK did after the major London smog episode in the 50s. So, I think my appeal to both people who are thinking about solutions and, governments would be to take a longer view for this problem and also bring in not just the, technology experts or the air quality experts, but also other important and relevant institutions and groups. And I'm really, happy to see that Santosh is here and Karthik is here as well, because we also need to think about governance. That's where the implementation happens.
Absolutely.
So
Let
who
me
is
ask
able
that-
to do this?
Let me ask Mr. Santosh Harish. Santosh Harish, what according to you are those implementable pollution solutions that perhaps are gathering dust, PM10, if you were?
Thanks, Sanket. I think the first thing to remember is that we don't necessarily need shiny, new, out-of-the-box tech innovations and so on, right? What we need to do is get the nuts and bolts right. We need to invest in our institutions. We need to invest in our processes. We have our agencies like the Pollution Control Boards, this new Commission on Air Quality Management, which has been created by an act of parliament, municipal corporations. All of them, they need to do what they are set up to do, what they already have adequate powers for, and do these year-round, proactively, without prompts and nudges and so on from the judiciary, and do it transparently. I think one of the challenges has been that pressure builds at this time of the year on governments. They need to show that they're doing something, and they look for either these very flashy smoke tower type, fairly nonsensical solutions, or you look at interventions that are extremely disruptive, right? Like banning vehicles coming in from other parts of the region to Delhi, or banning construction and so on. When really you should have had a process in place already. There are a bunch of sectoral actions which already lend themselves very well. You already have enough processes. This includes, for example, making sure that industrial emissions are monitored well, and the appropriate action is taken against the non-compliant plants. This requires that the pollution control boards are well staffed, and we know what is happening behind the scenes. Currently, it's incredibly opaque. We have absolutely no idea what percentage of industries and power plants are truly compliant, right, on a regular basis, not just in terms of setting up some equipment. When it comes to, for example, household sources, this has largely been outside the imagination of air quality management. We know that it has disproportionate impacts on health, especially on women and infants. This is something that basically requires that LPG is made affordable to households, and that there are campaigns taken to make sure that the preferences change, that people seek LPG instead of traditional biomass. So each sector has measures which are now fairly well understood. Certainly, there are specifics that need to be worked upon, but we know enough to be just able to do them much better.
Right, Karthik, I want to come to you now as someone who's working for the Council of Energy, Environment and Water. It's interesting that we only talk about air pollution. You look at pollution, which is in a city like Delhi a massive problem. Pick up anything and there is pollution in it. The Yamuna is polluted, the air is polluted. Do you think that the saddest part as of this moment is that we do not have what should have in fact happened, a sort of a central government monitored, state government involvement agency, a sort of a pollution control monitoring agency, which would have the central representatives and the state representatives meeting at a regular basis. I don't see those meetings taking place. If I were to give you an example, a sort of a GST sort of a model for tackling pollution solutions, you hardly see coordination between state and center.
I mean, so the entity that has been set up, the CAQM, presumably, right, is been vested with the power to actually, convene, entities and representatives of these various states that at least adjoin the National Capital Territory. So in that sense, right, they have the resources to actually, call the chief secretaries of the various states or the representatives of the Pollution Control Board, check with them on what they're doing with regard to the compliance. So I think the mechanisms exist. Now, it's really about whether the follow-up, for instance, when they actually make that call, right? What's the sort of credible, so to say, the threat that they're issuing to these entities, right? Like calling the chief secretary and saying, that, you will be sort of, admonished, for not having done your work, right? I guess they'll just take that on their chin and just go about doing what is probably more priority to them and what the political masters have really indicated. And that's really what's happening right now, right? So the classic is, of course, the, what happens in Punjab, right? Every year, whether it was the EPCA earlier or whether it was anybody else, right? They would say the chief secretary of the state is responsible for ensuring burning doesn't happen, right? Supreme Court would pull them up, but ultimately everybody knows that our ability to sort of really speak to that stakeholder group, get them to do what the Supreme Court or the EPCA was instructing was limited. So as Santosh has said, right, we need to invest in these institutions. Now that institution is, it's not just the Pollution Control Board, because the Pollution Control Board is really responsible only for those stacks that, we envisioned as sources of pollution, 3-4 decades ago when the Air Act came in, right? Today, pollution is basically emanating from multitude of sources, right? And agriculture is one of them, right? Transport is one of them. Now, who is taking care of transport pollution, right? Presumably these PUCs, but where is the the oversight,
monitoring, correct,
right, on that? So I think you need to really invest in ensuring that these agencies are able to do their jobs much better. And I think we're really making a mountain of a molehill by not even assessing the kind of effort and investment required to actually bring capacity to these agencies. There is nearly 4,000 crores that that the 15th Finance Commission has given them. And I can tell you, for a very small share of that, we can actually ensure that we actually have, people who know their job, who understand this area, right? Be made responsible for these various sectors in these various states and cities, right? And actually, we'll have a front that can actually be put up, as opposed to just picking on the chief secretary every year, right? And not know exactly whose role is what. So staffing them and ensuring that they have the right capacity and the right kind of people are there is something that can easily be done. Right, so that every year we have those set of people who are looking at this year round, which is, I think, the starting point for the discussion, right? Okay. Having that capacity in there.
Yeah, one quick last question to Ms. Pant. As an air quality scientist, when governments wish that the wind starts blowing and things get better and the heat is off, how much are we suffering as a consequence each day? Is there some study, something alarming? Because I feel that this, unfortunately, this issue does not even get discussed in prime time.
Yeah, that is, I think, a really good question because, collectively, we forget that even in February and March and, even July for that matter, we are still getting exposed to very high levels of air pollution, especially PM 2.5 in the NCR region and across a lot of different, states in India. And all of those are really linked with a variety of diseases. Asthma is something that comes to people's minds immediately, but as Santosh was indicating earlier, exposure to pregnant women can result in impact on the infants that are being born. People can die early as a result of diseases that they can get, heart disease, lung disease,
Sure.
a number of them which are very common in India. Air pollution is a big contributor to them. And even in terms of how long we live, our life expectancy, that can reduce by as much as 2 to 3 years on average just by living in polluted environments.
Right.
Delhi is one example, but this is really true for many, many states across India.
Right. All right, Pallavi Pant, Santosh Harish and Karthik Ganeshan, thank you very much for also telling us the areas where we are going wrong, which need to be fixed. Let's just hope that the solution doesn't end with the wind speed picking up. Thank you very much for joining us. Story number 2 right here is the Samajwadi Party Mahagathbandhan of sorts in Uttar Pradesh. This time around, it is with smaller parties, smaller alliances. Are they going to work for Akhilesh Yadav or not? As we play the possible alliances of Akhilesh Yadav, I would like to introduce Mr. Sanjay Singh, Rajya Sabha MP of the Aam Aadmi Party, who is now with us. As you can see, these are possible alliances. Mr. Sanjay Singh, one is with Mr. Jayant Chaudhary. There are others which involve you as well, courtesy your meeting that took place. Would you like to tell us where do you stand vis-a-vis an alliance with the Samajwadi Party?
देखिए, आज तो एक प्रारंभिक दौर की बातचीत हुई है और कुछ सैद्धांतिक सहमति हुई है संकेत जी, जिसमें इस बात पे सहमति हुई है कि उत्तर प्रदेश में जो एक कुशासन चल रहा है भारतीय जनता पार्टी का, जिसके राज में गुंडागर्दी बढ़ी है, भ्रष्टाचार बढ़ा है, हाथरस जैसा कांड होता है जहां पर रात में एक गरीब की बेटी को जला दिया जाता है, मनीष गुप्ता का कांड होता है जहां एक व्यापारी को पीट के मार दिया जाता है, उत्तर प्रदेश में किसान अगर फसल का दाम मांगता है तो आंसू गैस के गोले मिलते हैं, नौजवान नौकरी मांगता है तो उसको लाठी और मुकदमे मिलते हैं। तो इस कुशासन को कैसे मिलकर हटाना है, इस पर एक सैद्धांतिक सहमति हुई है। बाकी गठबंधन और बाकी मुद्दों पर, सीट शेयरिंग पर या बाकी अगर कोई बात आगे इसमें होती है तो निश्चित रूप से आपको जानकारी।
पर संजय जी, मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूं, आम आदमी पार्टी जिसने अभी उत्तर प्रदेश में उस तरीके से पैर नहीं जमाए हैं जैसे आप पंजाब में जमा चुके हैं या गोवा में जमाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, अलग अलग राज्यों में, गुजरात में भी, यहां उत्तर प्रदेश में आपकी पार्टी पहल जरूर कर रही है। ऐसे में आप अपने वर्चस्व वाले इलाके या रसूख वाले इलाकों में किस इलाके को मानते हैं? उत्तर प्रदेश बहुत बड़ा राज्य है।
नहीं, मैं आपकी बात से सहमत हूं संकेत जी, लेकिन ये भी याद होगा शायद आपको कि पंचायत के चुनाव में हमारी एक बड़ी भूमिका रही। 83 जिला पंचायत की सीटें जीतकर हम लोग आए, 40 लाख के करीब वोट मिला, 350 हमारे प्रधान बीडीसी जीते हैं, जिला पंचायत के सदस्य 83 जीते हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश में आप जितने भी मुद्दे उठा के देख लें, चाहे वो राम मंदिर का हो, चाहे जल जीवन मिशन के भ्रष्टाचार का हो, चाहे कोरोना के भ्रष्टाचार का मुद्दा हो, इन तमाम मुद्दों पर एक महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका आम आदमी पार्टी ने निभाई और इसके कारण से 18 मुकदमे मेरे ऊपर हुए, पार्टी का दफ्तर बंद करा दिया। जितनी प्रताड़ना दे सकती थी ये सरकार इन्होंने दिया है। हाँ। आप ये बात बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं कि हमारी स्थिति उतनी मजबूत नहीं है जिस तरह से पंजाब है या दूसरे स्टेट है, दिल्ली में जहां हमारी सरकार है, लेकिन उत्तर प्रदेश में आम आदमी पार्टी के फुटप्रिंट्स बने हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश में आम आदमी पार्टी की विश्वसनीयता बढ़ी है और
मैं चलिए एक सवाल आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूं संजय,
विपक्षी पार्टी के रूप में हम लोग बने यूपी।
संजय जी, मुझे ये बताइए कितना जरूरी हो जाता है आज की डेट में समीकरणों को देखते हुए जयंत चौधरी का, ओपी राजभर का, अपना दल का, प्रगतिशील एसपी जो शिवपाल यादव की पार्टी है उनका और आपकी पार्टी का समाजवादी पार्टी के साथ गठबंधन। ये अखिलेश लगातार कहते चले जा रहे हैं कि इस बार वो छोटे घटक दलों के साथ एक गठबंधन करके चुनाव में उतरे।
देखिए संकेत जी,
ये कितना जरूरी है और इसका असर क्या होगा?
उत्तर प्रदेश में 2 गठबंधन चुनाव लड़ेगा। एक भारतीय जनता पार्टी का गठबंधन और एक गठबंधन अखिलेश यादव जी के नेतृत्व में, समाजवादी पार्टी के नेतृत्व में, जो कि आज की तारीख में एक ताकतवर और मुख्य विपक्षी पार्टी है, इस बात में कहीं कोई संदेह नहीं। और जिस प्रकार का जन समर्थन अखिलेश यादव जी को पिछले दिनों यात्राओं में मिला है, उससे यह साफ संकेत मिल रहा है कि उत्तर प्रदेश बदलाव के लिए खड़ा है। और भारतीय जनता पार्टी उत्तर प्रदेश में मुद्दा विहीन हो गई है। वो रोजगार की बात नहीं कर रही, शिक्षा की बात नहीं कर रही, स्वास्थ्य की बात नहीं कर रही, किसान की बात नहीं कर रही, उद्योग धंधे की बात नहीं कर रही। वो क्या कह रहे हैं? वो पाकिस्तान के नेता के भरोसे उत्तर प्रदेश का चुनाव जीतना चाहते हैं। लोग गन्ना गन्ना कर रहे हैं, वो जिन्ना जिन्ना कर रहे हैं। ये एक बुनियादी फर्क है जो भाजपा की राजनीति में।
वो संजय सिंह जी वो 5 एयरपोर्ट का भी जिक्र कर रहे हैं, वो बड़े बड़े हाईवे का भी जिक्र कर रहे हैं, वो ये कह रहे हैं हमने इतनी फैक्ट्रियां लगा दी, उसका भी जिक्र कर रहे हैं।
आपने उनके बड़े नेताओं के बयान सुने? उन्होंने क्या कहा?
बिल्कुल,
उत्तर प्रदेश का चुनाव जिन्नावादी बनाम राष्ट्रवादी होगा। ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, वो कह रहे हैं 2022 का चुनाव यानी कि रोजगार पे नहीं, शिक्षा पे नहीं, स्वास्थ्य पे नहीं, बिजली पे नहीं, पानी पे नहीं, सड़क पे नहीं, रोजगार पे नहीं। उनका कहना है कि उत्तर प्रदेश का चुनाव 2022 में जिन्नावादी बनाम राष्ट्रवादी होगा। और जिन्नावादी कौन है संकेत जी? जिन्नावादी कौन है संकेत जी? आजादी के पहले श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी और वीर सावरकर ने मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना की पार्टी मुस्लिम लीग के साथ 3 राज्यों में सरकार बनाई। कहां पे? पहली बंगाल में, जहां श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी डेप्यूटी चीफ मिनिस्टर थे।
ये तो कुछ ज्यादा इतिहास की बात हो जाएगी।
नॉर्थ वेस्ट फ्रंटियर में, मैं ऐतिहासिक सच बता रहा हूं, नॉर्थ वेस्ट फ्रंटियर में औरंगजेब खान के साथ, तीसरी जीएम हिदायतुल्लाह के साथ।
मुझे एक सवाल का जवाब दे दीजिए। चलिए, ये तो बहुत ज्यादा हिस्ट्री में चले जाएंगे संजय सिंह जी, मुझे बस इतना एक चीज का जवाब दे दीजिए।
जी ने
मुझे बस आप इतना बता दें,
उनको
संजय जी, ऑल आई वांट टू नो बताया हमने, ऑल आई वांट टू नो, फाइनल क्वेश्चन, with the Samajwadi Party having strategic alliances with smaller parties, hopefully with yours also, but in the opposition space एक कांग्रेस भी है, एक बसपा भी है और एक ओवैसी साहब भी हैं, उनका इस गठबंधन में शामिल होंगे या नहीं अभी नहीं मालूम है। ऐसे में आपको नहीं लगता है कि एक खंडित विपक्ष, a broken opposition is trying to fight योगी आदित्यनाथ?
नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि बहुत बड़ा एक विपक्ष का फोर्स समाजवादी पार्टी के गठबंधन में है। विपक्ष का एक बहुत बड़ा फोर्स जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को पराजित करना चाहता है, और एक बड़ा वर्ग जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को पराजित करना चाहता है, जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की नीतियों से ऊब चुका है, जो त्रस्त है, परेशान है, वो किसान है, नौजवान है, माताएं बहनें हैं, वो एक बड़ा वर्ग समाजवादी पार्टी के गठबंधन में खड़ा है।
ठीक है, ये वही गठबंधन है जिसको संजय सिंह जी आप अपने ट्वीट में पहले गुंडा राज और ये सब भी बोलते थे। शायद समीकरण अब बदल गए हैं, थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड आई गेस।
नहीं, अब ये समय के साथ तय होंगी चीजें। मैं तो आज जो जितनी बातचीत हुई है वो मैंने आपके साथ शेयर की।
ठीक है, ऑल राइट, थैंक यू वेरी मच संजय सिंह फॉर जॉइनिंग अस। वन डज नॉट नो व्हाट दिस अलायंस होल्ड्स इन द फ्यूचर, बट सर्टेनली एज यू कैन मेक आउट, टॉक्स आर ऑन. Will this propel Akhilesh's cycle to power in 2022 is the big question. Good night and goodbye.